What if every choice you make creates a new reality? What if you could slip between them? Tonight, let's explore the most mind-bending theories of alternate realities. The Multiverse Theory. Imagine standing at a crossroads, faced with a choice, left or right. In your reality, you go left. But what if, in another universe, you went right? The Multiverse Theory suggests that every decision, no matter how small, spawns a new parallel reality. These realities may be nearly identical to ours, or they may follow completely different rules of existence. One of the earliest discussions of the multiverse comes from ancient philosophy. The Greek philosopher Anaximander speculated that countless worlds could exist beyond our own. But it wasn't until modern physics, particularly quantum mechanics, that the idea gained scientific weight. The many worlds interpretation, proposed by physicist Hugh Everett III in 1957, suggests that each time a quantum event has multiple possible outcomes, reality splits into separate branches, where every possibility is realized. This means that in one universe, you might be a world-famous artist. In another, you never even pursued your passion. There could be a world where humanity never invented the wheel, or one where dinosaurs still roam the earth. Some physicists even speculate that certain black holes might be gateways to alternate universes, though this remains purely theoretical. Interestingly, some scientists argue that we may never be able to prove the multiverse exists. Because each reality is separate from the others, there's no known way to travel between them or communicate across dimensions. However, theories like cosmic inflation suggest that different universes could have formed from the same initial explosion that created our own. If the multiverse is real, it raises deep philosophical questions. Does each of us exist infinitely, living out every possible version of our lives? And if so, does that make our choices meaningless or more meaningful than ever? Some even believe that déjà vu or strange coincidences might be fleeting glimpses into parallel realities. What if, for just a second, your consciousness aligned with another version of yourself, experiencing a different timeline? Could that explain why some people report seeing mysterious glitches in reality, objects changing, people disappearing, memories that don't match recorded history? And here's a wild thought. If infinite universes exist, then statistically speaking, there must be a version of reality where you're listening to this right now. But everything is just slightly different. Maybe your shirt is a different color, or maybe this video was made by an alternate version of me. The Mandela Effect. Have you ever been absolutely certain about a memory only to find out it never actually happened? Maybe you clearly remember a movie scene, a logo, or even a historical event a certain way, but when you check, reality says otherwise. This strange phenomenon is known as the Mandela Effect, and some believe it might be evidence of alternate realities merging with our own. The term was coined by Fiona Broome, along with many others, distinctly remembered Nelson Mandela dying in prison in the 1980s. However, in our reality, Mandela was released in 1990 and lived until 2013. The weird part, thousands of people shared this false memory, leading to speculation that their minds had somehow retained memories from a parallel universe where Mandela actually died earlier. Since then, countless other examples have surfaced. People remember the Berenstain Bears being spelled as Berenstain Bears, the Monopoly Man having a monocle he never did, and the Fruit of the Loom logo featuring a cornucopia, which, apparently, was never there. These inconsistencies might just be tricks of memory, but what if they're more than that? Some theorists suggest that the Mandela Effect is proof of subtle shifts between realities. If multiple universes exist, maybe some people have somehow retained memories from a timeline slightly different from our own. Could reality itself be glitching, rewriting history without us realizing it? Others link the phenomenon to the simulation hypothesis, the idea that we're living in a programmed reality, And these changes are like software updates that rewrite certain details, leaving behind fragments of past versions. It's like remembering an old version of a video game after an update changes the graphics or story. Psychologist, on the other hand, believe the Mandela Effect is simply a case of false memories caused by the way our brains store and reconstruct information. Our minds often fill in gaps with assumptions, influenced by pop culture, suggestion, and collective memory. For example, many people swear Darth Vader said, "Luke, I am your father," when the actual line is, "No, I am your father." Our brains simplify information to make it easier to recall, leading to mass misrememberings. But here's where it gets even weirder. Some people report experiencing personal Mandela effects, where details of their own lives seem to have changed inexplicably. Names of relatives spelled differently, objects in their homes appearing in the wrong place, or even people remembering events that supposedly never happened. If reality is fluid, how much of our past can we truly trust? So, what do you think? Is the Mandela Effect just a trick of memory, or could it be evidence that we're shifting between alternate realities? Have you ever experienced it yourself? Share your strangest Mandela effects in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives into the mysteries of existence. Quantum mechanics and Schrödinger's cat quantum mechanics is one of the strangest and most mind-bending fields in all of science. It describes how particles behave on the smallest scales levels, so tiny that the normal rules of physics seem to break down. One of the most famous thought experiments in quantum mechanics is Schrödinger's cat, a paradox that challenges our understanding of reality itself. Imagine you place a cat inside a box with a vial of poison, a radioactive atom, and a Geiger counter. The radioactive atom has a 50% chance of decaying within an hour, which would trigger the Geiger counter, break the vial, and kill the cat. But until we open the box and observe what happened, quantum mechanics suggests that the cat is both alive and dead at the same time, existing in a superposition of states. Only when we look inside does the cat choose one reality. This bizarre scenario, proposed by Erwin Schrödinger in 1935, was meant to highlight the strangeness of quantum mechanics. It relates to a concept called wave function collapse, the idea that particles exist in multiple states until they are observed. Before you open the box, the cat exists in two realities, one where it's alive and one where it's dead. But the moment you look inside, the universe decides which reality you experience. Now, here's where things get even crazier. The many worlds interpretation, developed by physicist Hugh Everett III, suggests that when you open the box, the universe's one version where the cat is alive, and another where it's dead. This means that every quantum event creates new parallel realities, infinitely branching into countless versions of existence. If this interpretation is correct, then every decision you make creates a new version of reality. There's a universe where you chose a different career, a universe where you never met certain people, and perhaps even a universe where you didn't exist at all. In this way, quantum mechanics isn't just a theory about particles. It might be the key to understanding alternate realities. Some physicists believe that this quantum weirdness extends beyond the microscopic world. Could our entire universe exist in a quantum superposition? Could consciousness itself be playing a role in shaping reality? The idea that observation affects the outcome of events has led to deep philosophical debates about whether reality exists independently of our perception. And here's something to think about. If there are infinite versions of you living out different possibilities, then who is the real you? Are you just one of many, or is your experience somehow unique? The many worlds interpretation. What if every choice you've ever made didn't erase the other possibilities, but instead created an entirely new universe where each decision played out differently? This is the core idea behind the many worlds interpretation, ABWI. a radical yet fascinating theory in quantum physics that suggests reality is constantly splitting into infinite versions of itself. The many worlds interpretation was first proposed by physicist Hugh Everett Thurene in 1957 as an answer to the paradoxes of quantum mechanics. In traditional physics, when we observe something, it seems to settle into one definite state. But Everett argued that instead of one reality being chosen, every possible outcome actually happens, just in separate, parallel universes. Imagine flipping a coin. In our everyday experience, the coin lands on either heads or tails. But according to MBY, reality splits into two each time the coin lands, one universe where it's heads and another where it's tails. Now apply this logic to every decision ever made, every conversation, every war, every love story. Right now, there could be infinite versions of you, each living out a slightly different life. This means that somewhere, there's a version of you who took a completely different career path, one who never met your closest friends, and maybe even one who won the lottery. There might even be universes where history unfolded differently, where ancient civilizations never fell, where dinosaurs never went extinct, or where technology advanced centuries ahead of schedule. But if these alternate worlds exist, why can't we see or interact with them? The answer lies in quantum decoherence. While these parallel universes may exist, they do not influence each other in a way that would allow us to detect them. Each branch of reality is like a train speeding along its own track, unable to cross over to the others. However, some scientists and philosophers speculate that there might be rare cases where the boundaries blur. Could déjà vu, strange coincidences, or even the Mandela Effect be brief moments where information leaks between worlds? Some even wonder if dreams could be glimpses into these alternate versions of ourselves. The many worlds interpretation also raises deep existential questions. If infinite versions of you exist, then what makes you, you? Are you just one of countless copies, or is there something uniquely special about your specific experience? Time slips and real-life glitches. What if time isn't as stable as we think? What if, just for a moment, you could step into another era, one that isn't supposed to exist in your reality? Throughout history, people have reported experiencing time slips, bizarre moments where they seemingly travel to the past or future, only to return to the present as if nothing happened. One of the most famous cases occurred in 1901 when two English women, Charlotte Moberly and Eleanor Jourdain, claimed they had walked through the gardens of the Palace of Versailles, only to find themselves in 1789, just before the French Revolution. They described seeing people in 18th century clothing, a woman sketching in period attire, and even Marie Antoinette herself. When they revisited the location later, everything looked completely different. Stories like this aren't isolated. People have reported stepping onto streets that no longer exist, encountering buildings that should have been torn down, or even speaking to individuals who vanish without a trace. Some believe these experiences are glitches in time, brief moments where the past and present overlap. But what about glitches in reality itself? Have you ever experienced something that defied explanation, like an object disappearing and reappearing somewhere impossible, a person remembering an event that nobody else recalls, or technology malfunctioning in ways that seem almost supernatural? Some people believe these anomalies could be evidence of a simulated reality, where occasional bugs expose the system's underlying code. One eerie example comes from a Reddit user who reported seeing a plane frozen midair, completely motionless, before suddenly resuming flight. Others describe objects shifting positions with no explanation, or even encountering doppelgangers of themselves or loved ones, as if two versions of reality had momentarily overlapped. If time slips and reality glitches are real, what's causing them? Some theories suggest that these events might be linked to quantum fluctuations, small disturbances in the fabric of space-time, multiverse interference, brief moments when parallel realities cross paths, consciousness shifts, suggesting that reality isn't fixed, but shaped by the observer. This raises an unsettling question. What if reality isn't as solid as we believe? Could we be unknowingly moving between slightly different versions of existence all the time? And if so, how would we ever know? Dreams as portals to parallel universes. Have you ever woken up from a dream so vivid, so real, that for a moment you weren't sure which world you truly belonged to? What if dreams aren't just random images created by the brain, but windows into alternate realities, places where another version of you is living a completely different life? Some researchers believe that dreams could be more than just subconscious thoughts. In many ancient cultures, dreams were seen as journeys of the soul, temporary departures from this reality into another plane of existence. The idea that dreams act as portals is not just a mystical belief. Some modern scientists studying consciousness and quantum physics have begun to entertain the idea that our minds might be capable of tapping into parallel dimensions while we sleep. One fascinating theory is that if the many worlds interpretation is correct, there are infinite versions of ourselves in different realities. When we dream, could we be momentarily syncing with one of these alternate versions? Could that explain why some dreams feel so lived in, as if we have memories of a place we've never been? There are countless stories of people experiencing recurring dream locations, places they've never seen in waking life, yet they return to them again and again in their dreams. These places often feel familiar, structured, and consistent, as if they exist outside of our own minds. Some have even reported meeting people in their dreams who seem just as real as anyone in the waking world. Could these encounters be more than just imagination? The lucid dreaming community has explored this idea deeply. Some lucid dreamers claim that after mastering dream control, they've been able to access consistent worlds, visit the same places night after night, and even communicate with dream characters who have independent thoughts and personalities. Some believe these characters are merely projections of the subconscious. But what if they are something more? Science, of course, offers a more grounded explanation. Neuroscientists suggest that dreams are the brain's way of processing experiences, organizing memories, and making sense of emotions. But even within neuroscience, there are still mysteries. Why do some dreams predict the future? Why do so many people report shared dream experiences, where two or more individuals claim to have visited the same dream world? If dreams really are portals, then what happens when we wake up? Are we simply snapping back to our primary reality, leaving behind another version of ourselves in a different world? Or are we constantly shifting between realities, never realizing it? Déjà vu, a glitch in reality. Have you ever had a moment where reality itself seemed to stutter, where you walked into a new place but felt an overwhelming sense of familiarity, as if you had already been there? Or maybe you had a conversation where you knew what the other person was about to say. Or maybe you had a conversation where you knew what the other person was about to say before they even spoke. That strange, fleeting sensation is known as déjà vu, a French phrase meaning already seen. But what if déjà vu isn't just a mental hiccup? What if it's a glitch in reality itself? Most scientists explain déjà vu as a misfire in the brain's memory system, a moment when short-term experiences accidentally get stored in long-term memory, creating the illusion that we've lived the moment before. But even with this explanation, déjà vu remains one of the most mysterious phenomena of the human mind. Why does it happen randomly? Why do some people experience it far more often than others? And why do certain déjà vu moments feel eerily significant, as if they're trying to tell us something? One alternative explanation suggests that déjà vu could be evidence of the multiverse, the idea that infinite versions of reality exist alongside our own. If true, then déjà vu might be a moment where two versions of ourselves, one in this reality and one in an alternate timeline, briefly sync up. That sudden familiarity you feel. It might be because another version of you has already lived that exact moment in a parallel world. But what if déjà vu is actually a glitch in the simulation? Some theorists believe that if our reality is a complex digital construct, then déjà vu could be a moment when the system running our world temporarily malfunctions, replaying a scene or event like a corrupted piece of code. Think of it as a minor reset, a brief flicker where reality stumbles before continuing as if nothing happened. Could this be why déjà vu sometimes feels like a loop, as if time itself momentarily rewinds before pushing forward again? Another strange possibility is that déjà vu could be linked to time loops or time travel. Some people report having déjà vu experiences that don't just feel familiar, but predictive, as if they've momentarily stepped outside of time and seen a glimpse of the future before it happens. This raises a fascinating question. What if déjà vu isn't about remembering the past, but briefly peeking into an event that hasn't happened yet? There's also a more spiritual perspective. Many ancient beliefs suggest that déjà vu is connected to past lives, a moment where the soul remembers something it experienced in a different body or a different time. If consciousness is eternal, could déjà vu be a brief memory leak from a life we've lived? If consciousness is eternal, could déjà vu be a brief memory leak from a life we've lived before? But perhaps the most unsettling thought is this. What if déjà vu isn't just a trick of the brain or a glimpse into another timeline, but a sign that our reality isn't as stable as we think? If our experience of the world can occasionally glitch, what else might be hidden beneath the surface of our everyday perception? The simulation hypothesis. What if everything you see, hear, and experience, your entire reality, is nothing more than a highly advanced computer simulation? The simulation hypothesis suggests that what we perceive as real could actually be an artificial construct, created by an advanced intelligence far beyond our understanding. And if that's true, how would we ever know? This mind-bending idea was popularized by philosopher Nick Bostrom in 2003, when he proposed that a civilization advanced enough to create highly realistic simulations could, in theory, simulate entire universes, including the conscious beings within them. If that's the case, then there's a good chance we're already living inside one of these simulations rather than in a base reality. At first, this might sound like science fiction, but consider the rapid advancement of virtual reality, artificial intelligence, and computing power. Just a few decades ago, video games were simple 8-bit pixels. Today, we have hyper-realistic open worlds where AI-driven characters interact with players in complex ways. Imagine where technology will be in 1,000 years. If a civilization reaches the point where it can simulate conscious beings, why wouldn't it? In fact, some scientists believe that certain glitches in our reality might actually be signs of the simulation. Déjà vu, time slips, the Mandela Effect, and even quantum mechanics could be hints that we are living in a programmed world. In quantum physics, for example, particles behave differently when observed, as if reality itself is rendered only when we look at it, much like a video game conserving processing power by only rendering what's on the screen. Elon Musk has famously stated that the odds that we are living in base reality are 1 in billions. If past civilizations have already developed simulations that are indistinguishable from reality, then statistically, we are far more likely to be inside one of those simulations than in the original. We are far more likely to be inside one of those simulations than in the original reality. But if we are in a simulation, who or what is running it? Could it be an advanced alien civilization, a future version of humanity, or something even beyond our comprehension? Some religious perspectives align with this idea, suggesting that the programmers of our reality might be what we traditionally think of as gods or higher beings. The simulation hypothesis also raises deep philosophical questions. If we are in a simulation, Does that change the meaning of life? Are our choices real, or are they predetermined by the code? And if we could break out of the simulation, would we even want to? Perhaps the biggest mystery is, why would someone create a simulation like this? Are we an experiment, a game, a historical reconstruction of an ancient civilization? Or is our simulated existence simply entertainment for some higher being watching from the outside? What do you think? Do you believe we could be living in a simulation? Have you ever experienced something that made reality feel fake? Let me know in the comments. Theories from ancient civilizations. Long before modern science and philosophy, ancient civilizations had their own explanations for the nature of reality, some of which sound eerily similar to today's most advanced theories. Could the wisdom of the past hold hidden clues about the true nature of our existence? 1. The Hindu concept of Maya, the world as an illusion. In Hindu philosophy, the concept of Maya suggests that the physical world is not the ultimate reality, but rather an illusion, a dreamlike projection that keeps us from seeing the true nature of existence. This idea bears a striking resemblance to the simulation hypothesis and the belief that reality might be a programmed construct. If ancient mystics described the world as an illusion thousands of years ago, could they have intuited something that science is only now beginning to explore? 2. Plato's allegory of the cave, a false reality. In ancient Greece, the philosopher Plato described a thought experiment in which prisoners were chained inside a cave, only able to see shadows cast on the wall in front of them. Because they had never seen anything else, they believed these shadows were reality. But what if one of them broke free and saw the real world? Would he accept it, or would he prefer to return to the comfortable illusion? This allegory of the cave sounds remarkably similar to modern theories about simulated reality, false perceptions, and even the nature of enlightenment. 3. The dream time of the Australian Aboriginals, a higher dimension. Indigenous Australian cultures speak of the dream time, a sacred realm that exists beyond ordinary perception. According to their traditions, the dream time is not just a myth, but a timeless, ever-present dimension where the true nature of existence can be understood. Some researchers have compared this to the idea of higher dimensions in physics, or the possibility that dreams connect us to alternate realities. Could ancient people have experienced glimpses of these hidden dimensions long before science had words for them? 4. Norse mythology, cycles of existence. In Norse mythology, the universe is structured in cycles: creation, destruction, and rebirth. This aligns with some modern theories in physics, such as the idea of a cyclical universe, where the cosmos expands and collapses in an endless loop. The Norse also believed in different realms of existence, including Asgard, the realm of the gods, Midgard, our world, and Hell, the underworld. Could this be an ancient way of describing parallel universes or higher planes of reality? 5. Egyptian beliefs, life as a test. The ancient Egyptians saw life as a journey through a carefully designed system of trials, ultimately leading to the weighing of the soul in the afterlife. Some have likened this to a programmed reality, where existence is a test, and what happens after death depends on how we navigate this world. If the simulation hypothesis is correct, could our reality be designed with a similar purpose? An elaborate system meant to shape consciousness. Did ancient civilizations know more than we think? It's fascinating to see how many ancient philosophies align with modern scientific and philosophical ideas. Could these cultures have tapped into deeper truths that we are only now beginning to understand? Or is it possible that reality has always been slipping through our fingers, teasing us with hints of a greater existence just beyond our reach? The Doppelgänger Phenomenon. Imagine walking down the street and locking eyes with someone who looks exactly like you, but you've never met them before. Or perhaps you've had a friend swear they saw you somewhere you've never been. This eerie experience is known as the Doppelgänger Phenomenon, and it has fascinated and terrified people for centuries. But what if doppelgangers aren't just lookalikes? What if they are proof of glitches in reality, alternate versions of ourselves, or something even more unsettling? 1. Ancient beliefs, an omen of doom. In folklore, a doppelganger was never a good sign. Many cultures believed that encountering your own double was an omen of death or misfortune. The ancient Norse believed in Doppelgänger, a ghostly twin that appeared before a person, doing things before they actually happened. In Germanic folklore, seeing one's doppelganger meant that death was near. Even Abraham Lincoln reportedly saw his own double in a mirror, one pale and ghostly, just before his assassination. Could these stories hint at something more than superstition? 2. Science's explanation, a trick of the brain. Neurologists believe that doppelganger encounters might be caused by a brain glitch. Some conditions, like hypnotoscopy, make people perceive a duplicate version of themselves, sometimes in an out-of-body experience. This could be the brain mistakenly processing its own self-image. But what about cases where multiple people witness a doppelganger at the same time? Can that be explained away as a mental trick? Doppelgangers and the Multiverse Theory. Some scientists suggest that doppelgangers might actually be glimpses of parallel versions of ourselves. According to the many worlds interpretation of quantum physics, every possible version of reality exists simultaneously. If this is true, then maybe doppelgangers aren't separate people at all but brief intersections where two versions of reality overlap. Could certain locations act as weak spots between dimensions, allowing us to catch a fleeting glimpse of ourselves from another timeline? 4. Simulation theory, a copy-paste error. If we are living in a simulation, then seeing a doppelganger could be a glitch in the system. Just like a video game might accidentally spawn two identical characters, reality itself might occasionally copy-paste individuals into the same space. Some people claim to have met their exact double, not just in appearance, but in personality, interests, and even memories. Is this proof that we are all just data running in a vast, complex program? 5. Doppelgangers in modern times, coincidence or something more? With social media and facial recognition, people today are finding their exact lookalikes more often than ever before. Websites even exist where users upload their photos in hopes of finding their twin somewhere in the world. But why do some people have nearly identical doubles while others do not? Could it be that some doppelgangers are more than just chance lookalikes? What if you met your doppelganger? The idea of meeting an exact copy of yourself is both thrilling and terrifying. Would you feel an instant connection, or would it disturb you on a deep instinctual level? Some believe that encountering your own doppelganger means that something is deeply wrong with reality, that the universe is sending you a message. But what kind of message? And are you ready to hear it? What if you could travel between realities? What if you woke up one day and everything felt slightly off? The street outside your home looks the same, but the colors seem just a little different. A friend swears they never had a conversation with you that you clearly remember, and when you check the news, you find out a major event happened in history, one you know didn't happen before. Could it be possible that you've slipped into another version of reality? What if we could learn to do it on purpose? 1. The science of parallel worlds. Quantum physics suggests that every decision we make causes reality to split, creating infinite timelines where different versions of us exist. If that's true, could we learn to cross into these alternate versions of ourselves? Many believe that there may be hidden ways to access these dimensions, a kind of cosmic portal we just haven't discovered yet. 2. Real-life stories of reality shifts. Some people claim they've accidentally experienced reality shifts, moments where small but unsettling details change. Stories like Lorena Garcia, who woke up to find her workplace and life completely altered, hint that dimension hopping might happen without our control, while others recall feeling déjà vu and noticing slight changes in their environment as if their world had shifted overnight. These personal stories raise the question, could this be a real phenomenon or just a series of bizarre coincidences? 3. Can we travel between realities on purpose? What if we could control reality shifts? Some believe that meditation, lucid dreaming, or even advanced technology might help us intentionally jump between dimensions. In fact, the US military studied the gateway process, which explored whether the mind can access other realities. Some speculate that spiritual practices, such as astral projection, could be a way to explore alternate dimensions, suggesting that reality travel isn't limited to just physical space, but to the realms of consciousness. 4. The dark side of reality shifting. If reality travel is possible, the danger is not knowing whether you'll be able to return. Some claim that once they shifted realities, they've felt out of place in their own lives. Imagine stepping into a world where people remember you differently, or events unfold that don't align with your memories. If we're in an endless maze of possibilities, could we lose our way forever? Is there a cost to stepping out of one reality and into another? 5. The desire to explore multiple realities. With the growing popularity of parallel universe theory and multiverse exploration, there's an undeniable fascination with the idea of traveling between realities. What would you experience in a world where every decision led you down a different path? Would you go looking for your alternate self, or would you be satisfied with the life you already have? The idea of reality hopping offers limitless possibilities, but it also forces us to confront deeper questions about the choices we make every day. The butterfly effect. What if everything around us is more interconnected than we realize? The smallest action, a word spoken, a decision made, a path chosen, could send ripples through time, changing the course of our life and the world in ways we can't even imagine. The idea of the butterfly effect suggests that something as small as the flap of a butterfly's wings could set off a chain of events, leading to a distant storm. It's a humbling thought that we, too, might be part of an intricate web, where every choice, no matter how insignificant it feels at the time, could shape the future in profound ways. In this vast, complex universe, we may never truly know the full impact of our actions. The world is constantly shifting, evolving with every decision we make, and yet we often take it all for granted, unaware of the invisible threads that bind us to everything around us. It's a reminder that even in the most ordinary moments, we hold the power to shape not only our own destiny, but also the lives of those around us, sometimes without even realizing it. The universe is filled with endless possibilities, and every step we take could open up new paths, not just for us, but for others too. So, next time you stand at a crossroads, remember, every step you take, every small choice you make, could ripple outward, touching countless lives, leading to outcomes you could never have foreseen. It's a strange and beautiful thought, one that reminds us of the deep, mysterious connections between all things, and the endless possibilities that lie just beyond our reach. With each new day, we're given the chance to choose, to send a ripple into the vast ocean of time, shaping the world around us in ways we may never fully understand. We often feel that our lives are small, that the decisions we make don't matter in the grand scheme of things. But when you zoom out and see the bigger picture, you realize that every small action contributes to the ever-changing fabric of existence. The chain of cause and effect is vast, and its consequences are far-reaching. The seemingly mundane choices we make today could someday be the catalyst for the most extraordinary outcomes, even those we can't someday be the catalyst for the most extraordinary outcomes, even those we can't imagine in this moment. Imagine the power of knowing that your actions could send a ripple through the entire fabric of reality, shifting the course of events. Could we be more intentional about the choices we make? The butterfly effect teaches us that every action has its place in the greater story, and with that knowledge, we may find ourselves living with more mindfulness and awareness of the impact we can have on the world. Even the smallest change could be the spark for something unimaginable, something that might just shape the future in ways we can't yet fathom. Parallel realities and personal choices. What if every decision you make creates a new version of yourself, a different path that branches off into an entirely different reality? The concept of parallel realities suggests that each choice, no matter how small, can create a new universe where things play out in a slightly or drastically different way. The very nature of our choices, from the mundane to the life-changing, could be shaping an infinite number of alternate versions of ourselves in realities we will never experience. In this light, our decisions don't just matter for us, they could be the turning point in a whole new universe. Imagine, in one reality, you decided to stay in your hometown, while in another, you moved to a new city, leading to a completely different life. It's fascinating to think that each of these versions of you exists simultaneously, each with its own set of consequences and experiences. But how much control do we really have over these parallel realities? Are we consciously shifting between them? Or are we just experiencing one reality at a time, unaware of the others? The idea of parallel realities forces us to reconsider the nature of our choices. Every time we act, it might not just be affecting our lives. It might be influencing the creation of countless other versions of ourselves. Could there be infinite versions of you out there, living out the countless choices you've never made? The possibility is both mind-boggling and oddly comforting, as it suggests that every choice, no matter how insignificant it feels, is part of a much larger, interconnected web of existence. But even if we can't consciously perceive these alternate realities, could it be that some of our deeper thoughts or feelings might hint at what could have been in another version of our life? Maybe in the quiet moments when we feel pulled in two directions or wonder about the what-ifs of our life, we're tapping into those parallel worlds, glimpsing the paths we didn't take. We may not realize it, but sometimes, when we dream or experience déjà vu, we might actually be experiencing fragments of the lives we could have lived, or the versions of ourselves that exist in those alternate realms. There's something deeply unsettling, and at the same time, deeply freeing, about the idea that we could be living countless versions of our lives, each one unfolding based on different choices. Every decision, every action, every word we speak could be sending us down another path, creating new realities with different outcomes. And while we can never truly experience them all, just knowing they exist adds a profound layer of mystery to our everyday choices. In the end, it's a reminder that nothing is truly set in stone. Our future, and the future of every version of ourselves, is always shifting, evolving, and branching out into infinite possibilities. This opens up an even deeper question. If we had the ability to experience these alternate realities, would we want to? Would seeing the endless versions of ourselves, each with different triumphs and regrets, help us understand our true purpose? Or would it leave us with more questions than answers, unsure of which version of us we should be striving to become? There's a certain tension between wanting to know the possibilities of our lives and the peace that comes from living fully in the one we have. Are we living in a simulation of multiple realities? Imagine for a moment. What if our entire existence, the world we live in, our experiences, and even the choices we make, are all part of a sophisticated simulation? The idea that we might be living in a simulation, especially one that contains multiple realities, is not as far-fetched as it may seem. In fact, this thought-provoking theory has been explored by philosophers, scientists, and futurists alike. The question isn't just about whether we are in a simulation, but rather, could this simulation be designed to mimic countless alternate realities, all running in parallel to one another? If you believe in the possibility of a simulation, the idea of multiple realities becomes even more intriguing. Could our simulated world be constantly shifting, creating infinite versions of reality based on the data input from our actions and decisions? In this scenario, what we perceive as reality might actually be one of many layers or variations of existence, all controlled by a system far beyond our comprehension. Each choice we make could be part of a larger program designed to explore the different ways lives can unfold. In this virtual space, every reality would be a possible outcome, and the simulation constantly adapts, creating new worlds based on the unique paths we take. But why would anyone want to simulate multiple realities? The answer may lie in understanding the purpose of the simulation itself. Could it be an experiment to see how different decisions lead to different outcomes? Or maybe it's a form of entertainment, a vast multiverse designed for an advanced civilization's amusement, testing how realities evolve and what the consequences of our choices might be. And if we are in such a simulation, could we one day gain the ability to perceive other parallel realities within it? This raises even more questions. How would we even recognize a shift between realities if they're all programmed to look so real, so convincing? What if we could somehow access different layers of the simulation, jumping between different realities as easily as changing channels on a TV? Could we ever experience a parallel universe where everything is slightly or drastically different? Perhaps our dreams are a glimpse into this, a way for the simulation to let us wander through alternate possibilities without fully breaking the boundaries of our current reality. Imagine tapping into the simulation's deeper layers, exploring the infinite what-ifs that could exist. It's a tantalizing thought that challenges everything we think we know about life, the universe, and the nature of reality itself. The simulation hypothesis challenges everything we think we know about free will and personal choice. If we're part of a system that's generating alternate realities, does that mean our choices are really ours? Or are we simply playing out predefined roles in a grand experiment, unable to see beyond the virtual walls that define our existence? The implications of this idea are profound, and while it may sound like science fiction, it challenges us to reconsider the nature of our reality itself. Are we truly free, or are we just characters in a never-ending simulation, exploring infinite versions of what could have been? The impact of alternate lives on our current reality. What would it be like to know that the life you're living right now is just one version of many, each with its own outcomes and paths? The idea that alternate versions of ourselves exist in parallel realities brings up an intriguing question. What impact do these alternate lives have on our current reality? Could the choices made by these other versions of us be affecting us in ways we can't even comprehend, creating ripples that we experience as coincidences, emotions, or desires? If multiple versions of ourselves are living out different lives, is it possible that their experiences are somehow connected to the present one? In a way, the lives we lead in parallel universes could influence our present-day decisions. Imagine a version of you in another reality, one where you took a different job, lived in another city, or chose a completely different path. Their successes or struggles could be influencing your subconscious mind, shaping your thoughts, feelings, and even your choices. Sometimes we feel inexplicably drawn to certain decisions or directions in life, and it could be that our alternate selves, in other realities, are experiencing events that lead us to make certain choices. These unseen connections between realities might be influencing our lives in subtle and profound ways, even if we aren't aware of them. But how much influence do these alternate lives have over us? Are we simply being nudged by their actions, or could we be subconsciously aware of them, experiencing fragments of their lives as part of our own? Perhaps, in moments of intense déjà vu or unexplained intuition, we're tapping into these parallel lives, picking up on their experiences and insights that somehow inform our own reality. It's as though we're connected across time and space, not just by the lives we are currently living, but by the countless versions of ourselves existing in other dimensions. Could these other versions of you be reaching out to offer guidance or lessons learned from their unique realities? This idea challenges our understanding of self and existence, raising questions about fate, free will, and the interconnectedness of all things. If our lives are just one version of an endless set of possibilities, how do we determine what's truly ours? Can we ever fully separate our experiences from the infinite potential paths that could have unfolded? As we make decisions, are we truly making them alone? Or are we, in a sense, influenced by the actions and experiences of our alternate selves? The impact of these parallel lives on our current reality might be far deeper than we can understand, subtly shaping the lives we live and the people we become. Can we ever prove the existence of alternate realities? The idea of alternate realities has fascinated philosophers, scientists, and dreamers for centuries. But here's the big question: can we ever actually prove that they exist? Are parallel universes just a fascinating concept, or is there real evidence hiding in plain sight? From quantum physics to personal experiences like déjà vu, strange synchronicities, and even near-death experiences, some believe that clues to the existence of alternate realities are already all around us. One of the strongest scientific theories supporting the idea of parallel worlds comes from quantum mechanics, specifically the many worlds interpretation. This theory suggests that every time a decision is made, reality splits, creating a new universe where the alternative choice was taken. But while this idea is compelling, it remains unproven, because we have no direct way to observe these alternate worlds. The same goes for concepts like the Mandela Effect, where large groups of people remember events differently than recorded history. Could this be evidence of shifting between parallel realities, or just quirks of human memory? If alternate realities do exist, then how could we possibly interact with them? Could consciousness itself be the key? Some believe that altered states of mind, such as deep meditation, lucid dreaming, or even psychedelic experiences, might allow people to tap into other realities. There are even stories of individuals who claim to have glimpsed parallel versions of their lives, only to return to this one. But without measurable proof, science remains skeptical. If we could one day develop the technology to observe or even enter another reality, it would change everything we know about existence. Throughout history, ancient civilizations have also hinted at the possibility of multiple realities. Many spiritual traditions, such as Hinduism and Buddhism, speak of multiple planes of existence, where the soul can transcend different layers of reality. Could these ancient teachings be describing something that modern science is only beginning to understand? Even in Western philosophy, thinkers like Plato and Descartes questioned whether the world we experience is the true reality, or just a limited version of something greater. There are also some intriguing scientific experiments that hint at the possibility of other dimensions. In quantum physics, the double-slit experiment suggests that particles behave differently when they are being observed, as if they exist in multiple states at once. Some physicists speculate that this strange behavior could be explained by interactions with parallel universes. Then there's the idea of dark matter and dark energy, which make up most of the universe but remain largely mysterious. Could they be the influence of unseen realities overlapping with our own? If we ever do prove the existence of alternate realities, it would fundamentally change how we view life, consciousness, and even time itself. Would it mean that every decision we make creates a new world? Could we someday find a way to visit these other realities, meeting different versions of ourselves? The implications are endless. For now, the search for proof continues. Whether through advances in quantum physics, neuroscience, or even artificial intelligence simulations, We may one day uncover evidence that alternate realities are more than just a theory. Until then, we are left with tantalizing hints and the mystery of whether we are truly alone in this version of reality, or if infinite other versions of ourselves are waiting just beyond the veil. What if we could choose our reality? If alternate realities truly exist, a question naturally follows. What if we had the ability to choose which one to live in? What if, instead of being bound to a single path, we could shift between different versions of our lives, selecting the one that aligns most with our desires, ambitions, or even curiosities? This idea challenges everything we assume about fate, free will, and the nature of existence itself. In many ways, we already make choices that shape our personal reality. Where to live, what career to pursue, who to form relationships with. But what if those choices weren't just influencing our own path, but also determining which reality we occupy? Some believe that every decision we make is a branching point, creating a new timeline in which an alternate version of ourselves experiences the path we didn't take. If that's true, then could we somehow consciously navigate these different realities, jumping from one to another at will? This idea isn't as far-fetched as it sounds. Many spiritual and metaphysical traditions suggest that thought and intention shape reality, that by focusing our energy on a particular outcome, we can shift ourselves into a version of reality where that outcome manifests. This concept, sometimes referred to as the law of attraction, suggests that our beliefs and emotions act as a kind of frequency, tuning us into different possibilities. Could this be a form of unconscious reality selection? And if so, is there a way to make it more deliberate? Science, too, has explored concepts that could hint at the possibility of reality selection. The many worlds interpretation of quantum mechanics proposes that all possible choices exist simultaneously, each creating a new reality. In this framework, every version of you that could exist already does. The only question is which one you are currently experiencing. Some theorists even speculate that our consciousness might play a role in collapsing these possibilities into a single lived experience, meaning that reality is not something static, but something fluid and dependent on observation and choice. Imagine a future where technology or deep understanding of consciousness gives us the ability to step into alternate realities at will. Would we use this power to fix mistakes, relive the best moments of our lives, or explore completely different versions of who we are? If such an ability existed, would it make life more meaningful, or would it remove the weight of our choices, making everything feel less real? The ability to switch realities could come with consequences. If every experience can be rewritten or undone, does anything truly matter? What if we could test out multiple realities, like trying on different outfits? Would we endlessly experiment with various versions of ourselves, seeing what it's like to be a world-famous artist in one life, a reclusive philosopher in another, and an adventurer in a third? Or would we, after infinite possibilities, realize that there is no perfect version of life, only the one we choose to commit to? Would unlimited choice lead to greater satisfaction, or would it trap us in an endless loop of indecision, forever questioning whether we made the right choice? Another possibility is that we already navigate realities more than we think, just not in an obvious way. Every moment of doubt, every major decision, and every shift in perception could be a subtle movement between different versions of our world. When we experience déjà vu, or sudden intuitive feelings about a choice, could it be that we are sensing another version of ourselves in a nearby reality, where things played out just a little differently? Could our subconscious already have access to these alternate timelines, influencing us in ways we barely understand? But this leads to an even deeper question. If we could choose our reality, should we? Would it be wise to always chase an easier or more successful version of life? Or is there value in the struggles, the unpredictability, and even the regrets of the path we're already on? If we had the power to change anything, would we still be the same person, or would we become something entirely different? Perhaps in the end, what makes life meaningful is not the ability to escape into other possibilities, but the courage to fully embrace the one we're living right now. Maybe the true secret is that we don't need to escape into another reality to change our lives, because every moment presents an opportunity to shift, evolve, and create something new. Instead of longing for another version of ourselves, maybe the real challenge is learning to shape our current reality into the one we actually want. And maybe, just maybe, that's the most powerful choice of all.